Hello, hello, everybody. I had myself all unmuted, and then I muted myself right at the start. We are here for Alabama Appleseed. I had never heard of this. I think this is really amazing. I think it's really interesting, and I also think it's kind of horrifying. So I've got Atticus here with me. So everybody be nice. It's decent December. We're back on track after our little slip up the other day. I know. I'm sorry I tried, but we're back. We're decent. Be nice. So Atticus, how are you?
Hey guys, I'm good. Good morning. Thank you for having me, sharing your platform with me. I
More than
wanted to
happy to have you.
tell a story about where I found myself a few months ago, and just a part of America that not many people get to see. um, I was in a county jail in Alabama where I had to spend 2 weeks a few months ago, and I guess I've never um I just didn't know what it was like. And this with COVID raging, and the conditions in there were just so bad that when I got out I felt like I was a little traumatized, and so I had
Yeah,
reached
no,
out to.
no doubt. Like jail and prisons are not, particularly in America, aren't exactly the most friendly places in general.
Yeah, 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 it was very shocking. I went from thinking like this is third world, and I can explain why I feel that way too, because I understand that jail is not supposed to be comfortable. I understand that people are there sometimes for really, really, horrible things, but also there are people who are there for like traffic citations, who are there
It's a little
for
unbalanced.
yeah, and I just don't think that I felt in danger a lot of the time while I was there at several different points, and it's just scary that to think that, like I have a little boy that he may get in trouble and be sentenced to, overnight, and then be mixed up in this with something that's just, you know, you should be protected in there is all I'm getting at, I guess.
People
Um,
should be treated as if they're human beings at period.
exactly,
In
yeah,
my
yeah.
humble opinion, now I may only be a goblin, and some people may disagree and say that no, this person committed this horrendous crime. I mean, America's a place that has capital punishment. So if you really are okay with that and you think that somebody is that horrible, you'd rather have them suffer forever and potentially harm more other people who didn't do this thing? Like it's bizarre to me. It just seems like a situation of just downwards toilet spiral where it's just like, hey, you can go in for something like incredibly mundane and come out basically just completely screwed. Completely just, what are you going to do? What are you supposed to do? You need to learn to survive in an environment, and then you're not in that environment anymore and you don't know how to handle it.
Yeah, yeah. And if you're not used to fighting, if you're not used to like physically fighting,
Mm.
you're gonna be singled out pretty quickly, because you have to hold your own in there, or you'll just be devoured. And it was very difficult. It was very difficult, and we were so overcrowded, and I think that the issue was, um during COVID. I think that the COVID positive patients were isolated to one dorm, and so they crowded all of us together that tested, that did not have symptoms. We were not tested upon entering the jail, which I thought was horrifying. They asked you if you had any symptoms and if you've been out of the country, but if you had no symptoms and if you didn't check the right box, you would get into, population, and it was so overcrowded in there that it was it was hard to move. You really couldn't do anything but stay on your bunk. And there were women sleeping on the floor in between. I think I sent you a picture of those metal bunks. We had a dorm style, um it was, you know a dorm style facility that I was at, and it housed 18 women, but at the height of it there was 40. I think it was 43. It was the low 40s was the highest that we had in there at one time.
That's a
And
lot.
you just couldn't move, and there were three toilets, and then um we also had a she was hearing things and seeing things that weren't there, and she was clearly mentally unwell, and she wasn't protected. She would do odd things, like when everyone would go to sleep at night, finally she would just start yelling, and she wasn't safe when she did that kind of stuff. They didn't do much to her at the beginning, but at the end of it, she ended up having, a whole bunch of girls jump on her, and she just had no business being in there. And
Yeah, there's definitely a problem with the way mental illness is treated and how someone who is a danger to themselves and to other people is treated by being thrown into the prison system instead of maybe a place that would be more appropriate for them, since it's not safe for the prisoners, it's not safe for the guards, it's not safe for the individual at
right.
that point. It's just a bad. It sounds to me like the American prison system that you're describing is you are set up for failure. You're
Yeah.
not protected. You're not helped in any way, shape, or form. No matter what you've done, it's one size fits all, and it's just not good.
Yeah, and I was lucky too. When I went, I don't know, there's a lot that goes at play in a place like Tuscaloosa, Alabama, but it's very scary. And yeah, I was fortunate enough to have money put on my books, right? And so I was only there for 2 weeks, and it takes the, commissary or whatever it was called, would only I think it was called commissary. It would come you know, every Monday or something. And so the first week I missed out, but once I got, like, I just ordered, honey buns and soap, and, you know, undergarments. I mean, I had to order all that stuff off of there. But once I had that, I had currency, and I
Right.
was able to get a bed. I was able to get off the floor, like,
That's the prison
um,
system should not have its own economics. Like it should
really, but
the
it totally
prison
does.
prison should not. I cannot believe
Like
you.
that second
Okay.
week, I'm telling you, I was much safer that second week.
Yeah, no doubt. Oh, you mean I don't. Wow, class exists inside the prison system on its own. If you have money, you're gonna be okay, but if you don't, you're screwed. Oh no.
Really, yeah, it really was like that. Yeah,
Oh
it
no,
really was.
that
And
is
like even
no.
finding a place to sleep, like it's hard to describe. Like
Yeah.
you couldn't walk. I mean, we were so packed in there. Mats on the floor. It's just like a little mat, and they don't give you a pillow. They give you a blanket. But all that, and then the guards would wear, they would wear gas masks,
Ew, spooky.
as they were coming in contact, I guess, with the COVID dorms.
Gas
But
mask isn't gonna work for okay, never mind. All right, that's not.
that's what they were wearing, the ones with the two nozzles on each side.
Oh, those ones. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, and but you think, okay, you're protecting yourself, but how are we protected?
You're not. It's the answer.
And they would
Yeah.
give us these. They would give us masks, every once in a while, but what good is a mask when we're all packed on each other like that? There's no way.
Yeah, if you look at these bathrooms and these dorms, there is, and you've got 40 people in this kind of a room. I'm showing it on the outside, and you've got this number of people, and there are people sleeping on the floor in here. There's no way you're not coming in contact with each other. You're not even 6 feet apart.
Yeah. It was very scary. And another lady I'd like to talk about, she was older and she had no business being in there. And I think I meant to look it up, but before we streamed, is it called sundowning or sundowners with elderly people? They'll when the sun goes down, they start to act
Sundowners,
very
elderly patients.
strangely and
Scholarly article, sundowner, elderly. What is sundowning? Sundowning is a symptom of Alzheimer's disease and forms of other dementia. It's also known as late day confusion.
yeah, she would start to act up around the late of the day, and she wouldn't bathe, and she would hide her food. She wrapped her blanket around her lower half, and that's where she would, I guess, she'd just use the bathroom into her blanket.
Oof.
And so the girls in this dorm, like it's like animals, really. Like they sense when something's wrong. They don't want to attack the weak to a certain extent. You know, they know something's mentally wrong with her.
Yeah, they segregate.
Right, but they put her over there by the toilets. They wouldn't let her be with us, which, I mean, the smell of urine and feces was so strong that you had to walk past her to get to the bathrooms, and
in such a small confined area. The thing is that that's not even wrong for them to do. You have to segregate someone who is ill like that out, because if you don't, that's going to get everyone sick. Like, everyone will get ill from doing something like that. So, if I read real quick, is the term sundowning refers to a state of confusion occurring in the late afternoon and spanning into the night. Sundowning can cause a variety of behaviors such as confusion, anxiety, aggression, or ignoring directions. Sundowning can also lead to pacing or wandering. Sundowning is not a disease, but a group of symptoms that occur at a specific time of the day that may affect people with dementia, such as Alzheimer's disease. The exact cause of the behavior is unknown.
And that's just my guess. Just because she was elderly and at night she seemed to kick off. But she was aggressive. I mean, you couldn't talk to her, and what happened to her was tragic. You know, the inmates.
Well, yeah, that's horrible.
The inmates only took, only a few days of her, and when she got so bad, they ended up stripping her and dragging her to the...
It's okay. Take your time.
I'm sorry. I thought I had all this out of me by now.
No. Take a minute. Take a minute to yourself. Don't you worry about it. Mute if you feel like you need to mute. Don't even stress about it. It's okay. We can move on as well if you think.
Yeah. Well, they took her to the shower, and they ended up bathing her themselves, but they were very rough. They took
right.
A garbage can that, I don't know how many gallons, it was one of those industrial that we threw all of our trays into, and filled it up with really, really hot water. That water was just scalding in those showers for some reason, and she had a toenail that had grown so long, and it was ripped off during the melee, and she was just bleeding everywhere now, naked in a shower.
Yeah.
And you can't get away from it. You can't.
Well, where are you gonna go?
Girls were watching it like it's I don't know, like a
sport.
Yeah, like a chicken fight or something.
Well, you're put in a position where there's nowhere to go. You can't get away with it. You have to accept that this exists, because if they don't do that, they have an aggressive elderly person who's basically infecting the area because it's completely unsanitary. There's nobody doing anything at all about it to protect these women. That person is also aggressive, so they have no choice but to forcibly bathe them, and they can't go anywhere. And these people aren't people that are trained to help support this elderly person. They are like, we are stuck in this situation, there's literally nothing else to do, and you're in a high stress situation, and you've got other patients that may or may not be mentally ill, and you've got people that may or may not have aggressive issues, and some of them have parking tickets, and some of them have been like attacking people. It's you're you know how people describe high school as, hey, here's a bunch of hormones and we're gonna pack them in like sardines and watch and see what happens? It's that on steroids.
That's what I was just about to say. That that on steroids, exactly. It really was something. It really was something.
It's
it was sad hearing women sing "Happy Birthday" to their children over the phone. That broke my heart.
Yeah.
And women, you just think it now. And me personally, I missed my son's first day of kindergarten over this mess.
Yeah.
And that's something I won't ever get back.
Yeah, there's something to be said for the argument of, oh, you do the crime, you do the time. There's people in there that got a parking ticket. Like, this is not equivalent exchange here. I don't even think that's a reasonable argument.
But I was real lucky, I'm in school, and I got out a day before school started, and I don't know if...
Oh, good.
Yeah, and that was good, and
Oh, great, you get to go from this hellhole to this other different kind of hellhole, but,
I'm in a small little online college, and it's not that bad.
That's good. That's good.
But I was so happy to have school after that,
gives you direction. Yeah.
Just felt so lucky again, You really take things, I guess, for granted when you're just snatched out of your life so quickly like that and put somewhere like that.
Yeah.
But there were, and that's how I got to meet Leah from Alabama Appleseed. When I got out, I was talking to my sister, and she's real connected with, I don't know, political friends in Alabama, and she knew Leah from Alabama Appleseed, and she took my story, and she said that it might be published, that she would let me know if it is, and I haven't heard from her, but I did talk to her recently, asking her, I showed it to you. I was looking for advice on how to go about, trying to help an inmate over Christmas.
Yeah.
But, and there were some really neat things when I went in there, like Ingenuity. They would make eye masks out of, the strangest things, earplugs, and you did see, like, people be kind to one another in there. And the ones who had faith, they would get in a mood where they would all, come together, and that was nice to see. And I remember one night I was trying to go to sleep, and my bunk mates were having a conversation about what superhero powers they would have and what their outfits would look like. And I remember just thinking, that's so cool that they can do that in here. I can't get out of my head enough to even even think about that period. It's been so long since I've thought about things like that.
When when you start getting desensitized to the situation you're in, and when you've been in it so long, or if you've been in and out of the system, because the system isn't designed to to get you out of it. The system is designed to just harm you, from what it sounds like to me. And so if you've got a system that's designed to harm people, they'll get used to it, and then they'll be fucking bored. And that's the humans are weird like that. Humans are weird like that in that they're incredibly adaptable. And because they're incredibly adaptable, your system isn't going to be harmful to them anymore, because they're going to get used to it. So you're not, if you've got a punishment system, you're not even punishing the people that you would suspect would be the ones that are supposed to be being punished. Right? You're just harming people otherwise. It's just not, and the thing is like, it's not even that it's just bad for the prisoners or the people that you might think deserve to be in there. This is bad for the society on a whole when these people get out. And then what do?
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true.
Systems like this just aren't good for anybody.
Yeah.
It's dangerous for the police officers. It's not even good for them. This is literally good for no one. This is bad. This is bad for everybody across the board.
I agree. And I think the pandemic, it's interesting. I keep telling my friends, like, think of the things that are going to come out 10 years from now that happened because of the pandemic that will finally come to light. And I think the prison system or the jail, the correction system is one of them. I think there's some really, life and death situations going on there.
Yeah. In Canada, one of the things that happened when the pandemic was at its height, I don't know if it'll end up happening again, but one of the things that did happen is our military was mobilized to act as support and assisted service for a lot of old folks' homes. Because they didn't have enough staff to be able to deal with the situation and keep people separated and keep up with what medically needed to go on. And so our military went out to go and do that additional work and fill that gap. And they found out that there were a lot of old folks' homes that were not up to standard, and there was elderly abuse going on. And so when the military showed up, they started being like reporting everything, and it went straight from there straight into our parliament, and parliament was like, okay, all right, let's get our notebooks out here. This is not the way things are supposed to be. And so they started working and getting and changing rules and adjusting and doing a couple of different things, because one of the things that they wanted to do was just like, listen, don't hide that this is happening. You're not gonna get in trouble, but we need to make sure that you have the facilities that you're supposed to have and the staff that you need to have. So tell us, we are going to give you money so you can fix the fucking problem. We'll deal with whatever's going on abuse-wise afterward. We'll get there, but we need to make sure that the people are okay first. And it sounds like something similar needs to happen to the prison system.
Yeah, not only in Alabama, I think it's a nationwide thing. I think Alabama is really bad, and this is just a jail. I imagine, I went down a rabbit hole of sorts when I got out about the prison system, and, it seems like the prisons are a lot worse than the jails, and some of the stories that you hear that come out of there, and not everybody is guilty that is there. And could you imagine being innocent? And, I know that the majority are guilty. I know that the majority are. But, I mean, it's been proven that innocent people have even been put to death. And it's just... I just wanted to say that for the innocents out there. Sorry.
Yeah, no, listen, you have nothing to apologize for whatsoever. You're here to say what you want to say. If I think there's pushback, I'll give you pushback, but so far I don't disagree with you. I'm not I understand where people are coming from. Like I've talked to people who are sort of on the other side of this. At least in Canada, I don't know how it is in America, but the guy's a prison guard, and he's like, people will get uppity, or the news will get uppity about how a prisoner is treated, because sometimes they get rough, and the guy's like, until you're in the situation, you don't understand why a guard might be getting rough with that person. Is for their own protection a lot of the time. And so there's kind of a push and pull that happens. But this push and pull is escalated when you get situations where you've got people crammed in like this. Yes, you're putting your guards in danger and forcing them into situations that they then now have to deal with. That is a matter of, you're taking that something that could just be a simple like scuff and turning it into World War II. Like you don't, and there's no need to do that. So I've heard a little bit of both, and in some cases it's just a matter of, it's not the individuals that are there, either the guards nor the prisoners. It's a symptom of the system. The system is the problem. You want the guards to be better people? Well, great. Put them in a situation where they can be better people. You want the prisoners to be better people? Great. Put them in a situation where they can be better people. If you're setting them up where they have to be this way to survive, then you can't judge them for it. That's not fair.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think I think technically you're not supposed to stay in a jail very long. You're supposed to, after your sentence, be sent off to prison, because like at prison you can work, and I would imagine, I would have loved to have had something to do all day other than just sit, and I feel like anyway, I met a girl in there, and she had been in there 2 years. She had had COVID twice. Oof. She had been vaccinated by the jail. The jail was offering vaccinations, but there was a lot of girls who wouldn't get it.
I imagine in jail, like, there's, because of how not regulated things are, I can imagine them being incredibly skeptical in the first place, but then on top of that being incredibly like, well, I don't know what you're like, the regular vaccine might be fine, but I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. Please continue.
It was just interesting. You've just got to. It was so interesting to see all these different kinds of people in one place, just bound up together. But yeah, she was vaccinated, and she had gotten COVID twice and had beat it both times. And she's sentenced to 4 years at Julia Tutwiler. It's the female prison in Alabama. It's not really a joke, but like, I'm from Tuscaloosa. It's a college town, and the freshman dorm there is called Julia Tutwiler, but our prison is also called Julia Tutwiler.
Oh.
So it was, I've always thought that was funny.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But yeah, there's some, she's been there that long and is making it, and and like I said, I only had to do 2 weeks, and it's taken a couple of months to get to where I was scared of going back. I was scared they were going to put me back, like, for some reason.
Well, yeah.
When I first got out, yeah.
That's a totally rational fear. That is a completely rational fear to have. That makes complete sense to me. That would be terrifying.
Yeah.
Man, I got out of an airport once, and the airport security was a little bit different from where I had left, and I was worried. I was like, where's their regular airport security? Because it was different, and I was like, I'm freaked out.
But that was really it, Shash. I I can't really, um, I haven't been looking at the chat on purpose.
Oh, Chad is
I didn't know.
100% behind you. They're sending you all kinds of support. They're agreeing with
Oh, that's
you.
so sweet. Hey guys.
They're like, Mr. Serious made a really good point that says some prisons lose funding if they go under a certain threshold. So if they go under 90% full, they lose federal funding. But while being for profit, why the fuck would they adopt a change to prevent, like, overcrowding and stuff like that? And it's like, yeah, it's a huge system problem. It's massively, like, just problematic for like 7 different ways. Your prison should be for profit, and you shouldn't have, like, slavery anymore. Maybe it's 2021 and America should stop having slaves. That would be a good idea.
Yeah, of course it would.
No, you would think. Helio says, I think every country should follow the Norway's example of prison. They focus on rehabilitation and education instead of punishment. Yeah, because, I mean, realistically, I would agree with that. I mean, if you have, as Atticus was saying, having something to do, and 2, coming out into school and having sort of that driving force and that focus was something that was able to help you sort of get back into...
Oh, yeah, I think that staved off, major depression. Absolutely.
And anxiety and, like, what's the when you go to a different country, like a fish out of water situation, when you go to like system shock, basically, of your culture shock. You're not used to where you are anymore. It's a completely different world. And, like, imagine, like, I can't imagine it's only worse if you're trying to go back to a family and you've got people in other rooms and you've got now suddenly this bunch of space to yourself it would just be anxiety ridden of, like, who's going to come in, who's going to do what, this person's right beside me, oh no they're not anymore. Like,
it was heartbreaking, and you saying that has reminded me of how heartbreaking it was. And mind you, I was only out 2 weeks, so we told my 5-year-old that I was at my mother's house, and we told and when I got out, I got out on a Sunday, I went and got a COVID test straight away before I saw him.
mm-hmm.
But then I got shaky about seeing him. I didn't want him to see me so upset.
Right.
And I was such a wreck. It took days, and then it took weeks, and then and that was only for 2 weeks.
Yeah. It's here's the thing. This is just my opinion, and you can tell me if I'm overstepping my bounds, but people are people, no matter what they've done. If you want to be like a humanist, if you want to be like a skeptic, if you want to be like kind of part of that humanist type thing, you have to recognize that the worst people, no matter what they've done or what a horrible crime you can imagine that they've committed, are still human beings and deserve to be treated as such. Now, that might mean that isolation is required. It might be that you are not able to exist in society as we currently have society, so we are going to remove you from that society and you are going to go over here. But that doesn't mean that over here needs to be, nor is deserved to be, torture. Because torture isn't punishment.
No.
Torture isn't justice. What you're describing to me is not justice. That's not a justice system. That's a for-profit torture system. And that's not okay. Mr. Serious is also recommending therapy. And I would recommend therapy to everybody all the time. Hey, you feeling kind of down today? Or hey, you've been feeling fine for a couple of months? Go get a regular mental checkup every 3 months.
Yeah, that's
every quarter.
You're right, Mr. Serious. I do have a therapist, and
that's good.
She and I started talking every 2 weeks after that happened, and but it's and I have a great husband, and I have this angel little child to come home to. I'm real lucky. I mean, there's women in there who don't have anything to come home to.
Yeah.
And I was able to tell my story. I mean, how many people go through there and don't know that that's even an option?
And it's also a matter of like having no support system, having something on your record. God forbid you have some kind of addiction problem which you haven't gotten over while you were in prison or jail, because it's not like they're doing anything to help you get over that. What are you supposed to do? What When you're putting people in these situations and you're like, oh well, they're a repeat offender, and you look at their life and you hear their story, remember that they're human, and then go, what other choice did they really have?
Yeah. And psych meds, I was on, they messed with my meds like they shouldn't have. And if you do go in there on some kind of narcotic, they will wean you off of it, and you'll detox off of it in that dorm hell.
And that's, yeah, oh god, yeah,
yeah,
oof.
yeah, and women, that was happening left, right, and center.
And that's dangerous for them, and that's dangerous for the
Yeah,
other
I
inmates.
saw a woman have I don't know if they couldn't read her blood pressure. Her blood pressure went so low, I think it wouldn't pick up. But it's like her lips were turning blue. Couldn't get her to come back. They took her out, and it wasn't even an hour. Shoved her back in that dorm. And I just couldn't believe it. I just could not believe it. I saw two fights. One was over just like somebody tripping over somebody else, but another one was just, gosh, I guess you're just in there so long.
Well, tensions are just up here, and like with the pandemic on top of it, right? So like you've got like regular already problematic, and then escalated even further. Imagine if that's even possible. Of course, people are going to be irritated. They have no space. They're bored. They have nothing better to do. They're dealing with high stress situations. They're also like, some of them are coming down from drugs. Some of them are still or are down, and like it's just you've got like some mentally ill people that you're also having to deal with. You're in constant danger. You don't know what the guards and the prison the prison staff are going to do. And so you've got that, like, it's just, of course people are gonna fight.
Mhm. It was
over
bad.
like
Yeah,
nothing.
one was over just like a tripping, but the other one was like thought that the girl was snitching on her boyfriend, and I mean, broke her nose. I mean, her nose was not the same. And
Well, you're not getting proper medical treatment either.
And they took her to the hospital, but they put her right back in that dorm. There was a girl that on those bunks, she threw herself off the bunk, and they took her to the hospital and put her right back in the dorm. And a few days later, they came in and stripped her of all her clothes and put her in what they call a turtle suit, some kind of suit that you can't, I guess, tie knots in to hang yourself, to prevent suicide.
Yeah.
And she had apparently slipped a note to the guards, but we all know what she was doing. She was just trying to get out of that godforsaken dorm.
Right.
We were all probably suicidal right then,
After being in that kind of a situation, you can't put people in that kind of a situation and expect them to just be okay and just chill.
Yeah.
Oh no, just chill in there for a couple weeks, you'll be fine. No. And without hearing stories like yours, people don't know. People don't know that this goes on. And without things like organizations like Appleseed, people don't know what's going on. So if you're interested in hearing and seeing more, go to the link. It's in the description down below. It's also in the live chat.
Great, thank you so much. Yeah.
The only way you change stuff like this is legislation.
Yeah, that's what Leah said. She said this is the kind of the work. She's the director at Appleseed. She says this kind of work takes years to see the fruits of your labor. Unfortunately, this is not the kind of problem that can be fixed quickly.
No, it's a situation where you have to have enough support, you have to have enough media coverage, you have to have enough people wanting to see change, and to do that you need to get people to understand that this is a problem for them, and see people as humans, when a lot of media goes out of its way and spends a lot of time treating people as if they're not.
Yeah.
So you're fighting against a lot. I would love to have you or Leah come on and talk more about sort of the projects and what they've been up to, probably on Non Sequitur Show, for a bigger audience.
Oh, cool. I could get my facts together and all. Yeah, it's been finals this week, and it's just been a heck of a week, but I've been looking forward to this all week, and I just thank you so much. It's very, very kind of you to lend your channel the way you have. Not everybody does that.
Well, thanks. You don't have to thank me. I try to keep my channel as open as possible to hear what other people have to say, and so I think that's worthwhile.
Yeah.
I would love to hear more about all of this kind of situation, and maybe some other people who have been in situations maybe in other states, and being able to compare and see, like, sort of like what states are in dire need, and like to maybe talk a little bit more about the politics of how to elicit change in something like this, because as valuable as your story is, and it is valuable on its own, can't as a standalone story can't change anything, but a lot of stories and more stories, more people explaining their experience, and as well as speaking on or to who would know the direction that needs to happen to elicit this kind of change. Because at the end of the day, in my opinion, I don't care what you've done, you're a human at the end of the day. And if you don't treat people like people, what kind of person are you? They're no different. Nobody's any different. Everybody's the same. You're all people. So somebody did something god awful and horrible, yeah, they're still a person just like you are. And if you don't accept that,
stories, Chesh, you just think about, oh my God, I could have had a bad day and totally see that happening to me. I mean,
sure.
I don't know. It was
the legal system in America isn't known for being the most reasonable or fair situation, especially depending on where you are in America. It's not quite the same everywhere, but it's not good. I mean, Canada has the same kind of problems. There are people here that get picked up for, like, absolutely complete nonsense. That the cop was just in a shitty mood that day. And it's just no good.
It's scary. When you see those videos of stuff being planted by the police, it is terrifying. I mean, because could you imagine being innocent in one of those places?
Yeah. Well, at this point, I don't even care if you're innocent in one of those places. I don't care if you're guilty. Nobody should be being put purposefully in this kind of a place. If you're purposefully putting people here knowing how bad it is, you're a shitty person. You're a shitty person.
Agreed.
There are people who deserve to be in jail, but that... Right. You might deserve to be in jail, but that doesn't mean jail is supposed to be like this.
Right.
Those are different things. Thinking somebody that needs to be put away, or needs to be, like, given a slap on the wrist or punished a little bit, one thing. Big difference to deserves to be tortured for the next 2 years. Different concept. Completely different concept. And like I said, I don't care how horrible what you've done is. You shouldn't be treated the same way with whatever you've done. Because the people that are putting you in jail ought to be better than the people in the jail. So, that's just yes, hello? Is that controversial?
The very things that keeps these inmates happy and connected to their communities, they're making it harder and harder for them to have access to. They cut off visitation, and then they put this where you could have a
Isolate you. Yeah.
camera, like a Zoom call visit within the dorm, so you didn't get to leave the dorm at all still. And then they've shut that down. That doesn't work at all, and you can't send mail. You can send emails for free, and I can attach pictures to send, but I just, I've kept in touch with one girl from there, that I do that with. But yeah, you can email, but and the phone calls are so expensive. I wish I could quote you what the phone calls are, but just to call home is ridiculous. And these families that have children, like when I say children, I'm thinking like, if your 24-year-old kid was in prison, I'd be worried to death.
Yeah. Mr. Sirius says, I think some people need to be separated from society, but not treated less than human while that's happening. Exactly. That's exactly what I was saying. Yes, that's a good way to put it. People don't deserve to be tortured. People don't deserve to be treated as anything less than human. Period. End of sentence. Maybe that's an extreme view to some people, but I feel like that seems obvious to me. It's hard to change the prison system in the U.S. because the people making the laws are often financially involved with them, and because the U.S. people seem to want prisons to be as abusive as possible. Yeah, that's fucked up. I got no other words for that. That's fucked up.
They're accomplishing it. Mission accomplished.
Good job, assholes. Oh, God.
Oh, my God.
Oh, God. All right. Do you have anything else you want to say? I don't want to keep you too long. I know it's, like, stressful and a difficult kind of conversation, so I don't want to overtax you.
This has been great. Thank you so much. I was very nervous, but that went away pretty quickly, and I thank you for that.
Oh, anytime. I'll be more than happy to have you back, but I would love to reach out to you and maybe who did you say was the person who runs the program?
Leah.
Thank you very much.
I'm not sure of her last name right off the bat.
That's okay.
From Alabama Appleseed, but yeah,
we can email. We can email
and guys,
her.
I'm on Twitter under Atticus, and
I will add your Twitter right now to the live stream, and I will also add it to the description down below. So if you did have, I don't know, are you open to taking questions from people on Twitter?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me just grab that real quick.
Mm-hmm. Haven't been able to watch the chat here, but I wanted to concentrate, so.
Oh, yeah.
I'm anxious to watch back.
No, there's gonna be a lot of, there's a lot of support for you. There's a lot of,
Thanks, guys. That's really sweet. But there's a lot of people still in there over the holidays, and God, that's just sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Merry Christmas, everyone, and thank you for listening to my story.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Don't go to jail or prison. It sucks.
Don't go to jail over Christmas.
Have a good day, everybody. We'll catch you next time.
Ending, okay.
That's perfect. Bye, everybody.
Bye.